on chapter 2, the Bill of Rights, wherein everybody will say, I have a right, and forget to say there is a limitation to those rights. You might have the rights, but those rights must not infringe on other people's rights in terms of our Constitution. Labor Relations Act, we are workers here. Do we have rights as workers? Yes, indeed. In terms of the Labor Relations Act, we do have rights. The schools, they are also run in terms of laws of the country. Educators, you are employed in terms of the laws of this country. We've got 6 Act in terms of the license. If we were doctors, would have to join a particular association. But because we are educators, we have to get a license to teach in South Africa. And the Children's Act, these are some of the list of legislative framework. I will just touch base and leave on these matters with an understanding that here we have leaders who knows these things better than me, or who ought to know these more than I do. I will just touch base and leave. Very fast. The purpose of SACE, we say, is to ensure compliance with the Code of Professional Ethics, to protect the dignity of the profession, to revise the code on an annual basis. On this slide, I like to put emphasis more on the protection of the dignity of the of the profession. Is our profession still dignified? Colleagues, comrades, when you start and say, as a teacher, in a public meeting, in the community, yeah, I just want to say something as a teacher, what did the community say? Hey, sit down, Wena. Hey, sit down, Wena. This is not a classroom. A lot of kids. But in the past, when the teacher would come, they would say, guys, let's hear what the teacher has to say. Is our profession still dignified? Who is making it not to be dignified? What is our role as educators? What is our role as SADTU, as the leader? Because SADTU is the leader in this profession. Make no mistake, the rules of this country in terms of education, SADTU has a better hand in terms of influencing the decisions. What is our role in ensuring that the dignity of the profession is at risk? Colleagues, we normally say, as SADTU members or as educators, let me put the educators, as educators we say, I'm a professional, and yet forget the code of professional ethics. As a professional, how are you supposed to conduct yourself? As a professional, do we really abide by the code of professional ethics in our schools? Let me just make an example. If as a professional, the school starts at 7:30, how many of us will be there at 7:30? If we are dealing with cases, how many of the professionals that are there are reported to have flouted the laws of this country? The professionals. The relationship of the educator with stakeholders. How do we relate with learners? Do we take these learners as participants in the education system? Do we understand that these learners are unique? Do we understand that these kids, they also need to be dignified and to be protected and not to be humiliated in any other way? How many times we find a situation wherein we humiliate these because of their background, economic or socio-economic circumstances? The parents, I'm a professional, I'm educated. You are just a parent, you don't understand these things. I know better. What is the role, what is the conduct of educators with regard to the community? We can make examples of educators who have been dismissed through SACE because of their, how can I put it, on how they conducted themselves within their community. Somebody got dismissed because he was found drunk and acted in a particular way. I mean, we are talking to people who knows these things and who ought to know these things. And we are here to cement the partnership so that we are assisted by yourselves. The grievance procedure, that's another part. In terms of Section 23 of the Constitution of this country, everyone has a right to fair labor practices. And you are shop stewards here who must ensure that other educators that you are representing in the yard of the school or in the institution, their rights are protected in terms of the Constitution of this country. And again, Labor Relations Act, it also assists to say every employee has the right not to be subjected to unfair labor practices as employees. The procedure. We normally say, and I have noticed and noted that most of our colleagues, when they come to the office, they would say, I have a dispute, colleagues. Good morning, sorry, I would like to talk to Mr. Mabandla. Mabandla, I have a dispute. And we then said, no, okay, let's wait. How did it come about to become a dispute? So we're here to clarify that so that we don't make that mistake as leaders of this glorious movement. We say there's a complaint. A complaint is a minor crime. It is an expressed dissatisfaction. It is informal in nature. This teacher is talking badly about you, and you take that as a minor gripe, you address it informally as a complaint. But if this matter is not addressed in that particular fashion and you formalize it, it then becomes a grievance. A grievance must be written down. And it must be brought to the attention of the person in charge. In this instance, such stewards, the principal in a school situation is the one in charge who must deal with that. Hence we say discipline in a school is a management function. If that grievance is not addressed, it graduates. It graduates as an unresolved grievance to become a dispute. It doesn't start to be a dispute. It can start as a complaint and become a grievance and eventually become a dispute, which can then be attended to at an organizational level. Mainly, we normally say a dispute can be dealt with externally. That's wherein you will then enforce or draw in structures like the bargaining council, ELRC, because the matter was not resolved internally. The grievance was never resolved within the school, in the Department of Education at the district level, in the Department of Education at the provincial level. The matter was never resolved. Therefore, you refer it to an external body, the ELRC. Common causes of grievances: unfair labor practices and unfair discrimination. We talk of inconsistent decisions and disciplinary actions in school. You are shop stewards. You find yourself in a situation wherein you have to defend members because of injustice that is happening in that school. You can't be quiet being a leader. You can't be quiet, but you must follow procedure. What we are saying here is, in terms of the grievance procedure, we cannot find a leader like yourselves jumping on top of tables saying, I'm aggrieved. This cannot happen. Hey, principal, come outside, I want to show you. No. There is a procedure. You are a professional. Don't forget. As much as you are a radical, revolutionary member of this union, but you are a professional. And there is a procedure in which you must follow. And some of these issues will relate to those. Unfair workload. This educator is given 20 periods, whilst the other is given 56. When this person complains, the principal says, I'm the boss and I'm in charge here. And you're quiet. You have to follow the processes well. Issues of nepotism. Maybe there are members of the SMTs here. You remember when there was an appointment of this PYE, they were now called the BEEI. How many of those who were appointed there that you know are related to some of the people within the schoolyard? And you were quiet when nepotism and favoritism was taking place whilst watching. In the issues of appointments, there isn't a vacancy of a departmental head, and you see that there is this principal pet, this educator, who always will carry the bag of the principal, who will open the door of the, who will make the tea for the principal, and yet is an educator. When the promotional post arrives, this person is appointed without following due processes, and you become quiet. There are processes to deal with such leaders. There are members at school who are victimized. Some are harassed, some are bullied. Some of the principals are bullies. And you don't know what to do, you are also bullied. But we say, as in when you raise those issues, you must raise them within the parameters of the grievance procedure. How about unilateral decisions by management? Wherein, as managers, I know that there are departmental heads here, and deputy principals, and principals for that matter, who will go to the staff and say, as the management, we have agreed that the school will now come out at 12 o'clock without consultation, without even getting to get a view of other people. Vague or incomplete instructions. How many times you get from the deputy principal saying the school will be out at 12 o'clock, and the principal will say the school will be out at 1 o'clock. And you don't know which is which, but you've got to take the word of the principal because he's the CEO of the institution. We say the grievance procedure versus the disciplinary procedure. The grievance procedure is when members, employees would raise their dissatisfaction. It is initiated by employees. And the disciplinary procedure will be initiated by the management. Managers will then come up with the disciplinary processes. You can't, as a principal, lodge a grievance against your fellow employees, the ones that you are managing, complaining that they don't want to go to class. And you're a manager, you must invoke what is expected of you in terms of issues of misconduct. And you must have ways. So, colleagues, we just wanted to touch base on these matters. Then the other issue that is rife among us here is the issue of corporal punishment. You know what? We normally say, we talk about Umshini one. Umshini has been given to you. We can't give the revolutionaries capacity and yet find that these revolutionaries are quiet about it. And they allow wrong things to happen whilst they're there. I normally say, in the era of the struggle, it would be difficult and dangerous to give an unpoliticized somebody an AK-47 because that person would even kill the people he's supposed to defend. How about in the education system, having these enlightened people, giving them the platform like this, how are they assisting in terms of addressing the challenges that are there? How many of us are allowing these pointing objects? You call it the pointing objects, isn't it?
Yeah, the pipes.
These pipes. Yeah. These orange pipes or white pipes or black ones. It's a pointing object. If that pointing object is tired of pointing, it becomes an assault, a traditional weapon. Colleagues, there are also laws that govern the rights of learners, of which our country is a signatory, even in the international platforms, to ensure that the rights of learners are protected at all times. When you beat abuse a child and there's a case against you, we invoke all of these and we say you knew them and you ought to have known. In terms of South African Schools Act, Section 10, it says corporal punishment is illegal and you can be jailed for it as an assault. Let's leave corporal punishment. There are even cases in relation to that. And even the Bila Act, it also talks to corporal punishment, defining it. What is corporal punishment? And let me also emphasize on the issue of mandatory reporting. When you see a child being abused, you can't keep quiet. You must report. It's mandatory that you must report on such. In terms of Section 110 of the Children's Act, you must report. If you don't report, it means you are also party to that. You participated. The management of corporal punishment. You can't deal with corporal punishment at school. You can't say because you are my friend, you hit this kid, therefore we can discuss with the parent. Let's discuss with the parent and let this matter be dealt with the parent. There are cases that we can relate to you, wherein some of the educators had to come to us and say, you know what, Mr. Love, yeah, guys, you know what, I had this challenge, wherein I hit this kid and this kid was taken to hospital or to the doctor. And I took the kid to the doctor with an agreement that I did with the parents, wherein they told me that this kid cannot concentrate, is emotional, anxiety, you name them. I had to take this kid on monthly basis to see the psychologist, and I'm paying 1,000 rand on monthly basis. For the whole year, I've been paying that. Now I asked this boy, hey man, do you have a problem? Anxiety? No, the boy said, no, I don't have a problem. You are my friend, most million. You are also in my class. I love you. And this educator said, ah, man, what is the problem here? I am paying 1,000 rand on this kid's health, and this kid says he doesn't have a problem. And when the matter was further investigated, found that no, the parents are getting money. They've got a budget of 1,000 rand that's coming from the educator who's paying for this. And now the educator is saying to us, say, look, man, I did this. He said, no, why didn't you come? We charge you. And we fine you 8,000 rand. Now you've paid more than 12,000 rand. This matter could have been dealt with and long gone. But you are still busy. Now it is a matter you arranged. It's a contract you made on your own. Please, it's your bed. Sleep on it. Colleagues, there are cases that we can deal with and talk about. Comrades, people can be dismissed because of mere corporal punishment. They can lose their jobs, and we are there to okay. The presentation will be sent to the leaders now. Don't worry, I'll ensure that you get it. Okay. The last one on corporal punishment that I want to emphasize is the issue of liability. Let me just relate the story of an educator. This educator was in class. Then he was called out of this class, went to fetch the chalk. As he went to fetch the chalk, he came back and found that one learner in the eye, in the eye, and when he came, there was blood all over the toilet. The kid was taken to the doctor. The matter was attended to informally, like just like that. Then came somebody who advised the parents of the learner to say, no, you know what? Do you know Lotto? This one, no, I've never. Have you ever won Lotto? He said, no, I never won Lotto. No, man, there's a Lotto here. You can sue the state because of what happened to your kid. The parent sued the state. And the state said, we cannot pay that amount. What actually happened? Then investigations had to ensue. What happened? this educator was in class. Who was in class? Where did this happen? It happened in the classroom. Who was supposed to be in class at the time? It was Mr. So-and-so. Mr. So-and-so, where were you? I was in class. How did it happen whilst you were there? No, I went out to take the chalk, and the department said, no, you abdicated. You abdicated your responsibility. You went out and you never even made arrangements for these learners to be supervised. Hence this thing happened. And we cannot pay, you have to pay. In terms of liability. Let's talk about sexual assault and sexual harassment. Colleagues, I talked about this earlier. Let us not only focus on sexual assault of learners by educators. What about sexual harassment between educators themselves or employees? This educator, every time as he comes to school, so beautiful, like yourselves, so beautiful. And this teacher says, hey, you know what? Every time he passes, or else, when this teacher is in class, he would just say, or this size. You know, and it's nice. It's nice. It's a nice thing to be loved. Am I correct? It's nice to be loved. Feel loved. But when things go wrong, what then happens? It hits the fan, and it must be attended to by us. This educator, every time she passes, or he passes, this female educator, the female educator will just, You know those gestures. You know better. If I can. And those are examples of sexual harassment. We've dealt with cases wherein educators would share pornography, wherein one would send pornographic material to the other, wherein others would propose love. We don't have a problem with that. You propose. Yamshela man. Bona. Tina dala besithi kimabele kuyakhala. Ama ngezulu bathini konje? Bathi gegele ntombi. Awu nazo. Hlale bona. Noyidlila kakayi. Bathini oyishayela kakayi. Noyidlila kakayi. Oyidlila uthini? Udlika. It is acceptable. We don't have a problem with that. But if the other party is uncomfortable with those gestures, you have to stop. You must stop. And if you touch inappropriately, then it's another matter. A lot of people lose their jobs because of all this. These are examples and the definition of sexual assault and sexual harassment. And I thought about it that when the element of foul is starting, you might lose focus. There are forms of sexual harassment that are being defined. You get that. And you must defend those members out there. And there are procedures as to how must you deal with that. There is an informal way and there's a formal way. The informal procedure, that's when you deal with it, but it must be reported to HR, to the sexual harassment advisor, who must then indicate to say, no, this matter can be asking the victim, do you want this matter to be taken through to labor? When we receive cases of sexual harassment, we must refer them back to sexual harassment advisor to say, here's the matter, please investigate. If you are a victim, it's upon you to say, I'm taking it further for further investigations. Oh, no, I'm satisfied. I just wanted to talk to him and say, let him stop. But when it comes to educators doing this to learners, it is a problem. The next part is corrective agreement number 1 of 2021. HR will deal with the filling of posts, the role of the observer. We deal with grievances, and as we deal with these grievances, and you are posted as observers. You get posted representing the union as observers, and at times you find that the observers of this union are the ones who are creating chaos, not sticking to their role. What you understand is that in most instances, because of the phrase within that collective agreement number 1 that says an observer is an active member of the process. You're not passive, you're an active member, but you don't advise, you don't participate in a manner where it will change the complexion of the interviews or shortlisting. You are actively involved there, being there, understanding what is actually happening. And you get a number of complaints from the panels. And the grievances that are lodged, are they lodged within the time frame? Are these grievances lodged in terms of the procedure that was flawed, or because of the outcome? We have comrades. You might have a horse. This is our member, comrade. And this member must, what is the term? Must emerge. This member must emerge. We have an interest, comrades. We have an interest in that post. And we want our member to emerge. And comrades, let's just get something there so that we lodge a grievance. It must be a grievance that is not frivolous. It must be grievance that is within the bounds of collective agreement number 1 of 2021. Not necessarily about the outcome, but the processes. Lodging the grievance committee, when the grievance is lodged, would normally, based on the instruction from the district director, to establish a grievance committee, wherein SATU is a member of the grievance committee. SATU sits in the grievance committee. That's where you lodge it. And if a member of SATU is sitting in the grievance committee, he is no longer representing SATU as representing what is to be presented there. He represents this committee to ensure that fairness is addressed, objectivity is addressed. There is also circular. Circular 1 of 2016. There's a typo there. I think that is 16 there. Am I correct, comrades? Is that circular 1 of 2016? If you correct it to 16, then you have participated in showing that this slide was made by all of us. It should say circular 1 of 2016. Here we are dealing with the management of discipline in schools, progressive discipline. Most leaders within the unions, they don't understand the rationale behind progressive discipline. Most principals, they are afraid to participate in progressive discipline, and it assists us in terms of dealing with discipline in schools. It also clarifies the responsibility and the authority of the principal. The principal is the manager in that school, and the principal must ensure that he or she deals with discipline in that school. Before you escalate the matter to us, you must have dealt with it at school. You might have referred a matter of absenteeism. You're referring a matter of absenteeism to us, and you deal with it, and you find that this person was overly absent and therefore doesn't deserve to be in the system, and this person must be dismissed. We might refer a matter that could have been dealt with in the school wherein SATU would have represented its member there, and the issue or the member was issued with a written warning, verbal warning, final written warning, and we refer that matter to us. And we're looking at it now in a formal manner wherein that member can be dismissed. That's to say, if you are dealing with the progressive discipline, circular one of 2016, at school, at least it makes things better. It also assists us to say this discipline was attended to progressively. This person's behavior was attended to when it started. This comrade doesn't want to listen. He's repeating this offense again and again. And when we look at the timelines and what actually happened, this person was given a sanction of a verbal warning. This person was given a sanction of written warning. He was given a sanction of final written warning at school level. But when you take it to us, we take it to the head office. The head office will then issue out a charge sheet. That person may lose a job. We say in the office, we don't like to see ourselves being the contributors on the statistics of unemployment. We don't like to see ourselves, being involved wherein people lost their jobs. But we rather talk to members like this. So we are the custodians and the proponents of Circular 1 of 2016 to say, let's take this route, man. Principals, talk to, and we would like to ensure that principals are empowered on Circular 1 of 2016, and educators again are also empowered. Even PS staff are also empowered in terms of Circular 1 of 2016. It assists us. Then you find leaders saying we cannot do the job of labor relations. And when cases are referred to us, we then say, okay, Satu, then Tina Stuniwe, Tina says, Umsebenzi wethu ukuthi mina ngizofaka icase and the case will go. If a person goes, that person goes, man. He actually did not want to work here. There are times when we have to give tough love. Isn't it, comrades? Comrades must give our comrades tough love. You must also have that space of compassion and empathy. But at times you must talk to our comrades, hey, comrade, no, that is wrong. What type of a school do you want, comrades? And that type of a school that you want is the type that you must ensure that this is how we want our school to be run. No one among us here would want to see a Yizo school. I don't want to work in a Yizo school. I want to work in a school that is like any other progressive school out there. But who must make it? It's us. Discipline must be corrective and it must not be punitive. We say, even if you are dismissed, you are not punished, you are corrected. Because if my friend sees me being dismissed of this offense, he won't do it. Because we know that, you know what, this guy was dismissed because of doing this. He was corrected. And again, if I was dismissed of sleeping with young girls in school, if I become a nurse elsewhere, I won't take my zip down for patients. I will know. It was corrected, the behavior was corrected. And what we normally say is that we don't play the man, we play the ball. And that's what we normally say to principals in schools, let's play the ball. We know that you don't love him. You don't love this educator. When we're talking about the grievance issues, the cause of grievances, one area I would like to emphasize there is one of the causes of grievances are conflicting personalities. You have never fought, but Jay, by the look of this person, I can say, I don't love him. This person, I don't love him. We've got conflicting personalities. Even if you've got conflicting personalities, principal, you are a manager. You must be a parent, be above, and deal with this matter in a professional way. As leaders, Satu, you are also charged to ensure that you become leaders and parents and deal with issues in a manner that shows that you understand these things. At times, you will understand things more than these principles. You know that. You'll be exposed to it, and you find that in terms of, what is this book? Robert Wood, but Laws of Power. The first one, the first law of power, it talks about you must not outsmart the leader. Don't outsmart the leader. Don't show off that I know better than this person. They don't like it. Discipline is a management function. You are the departmental head. This educator is not submitting marks. Every time you write, exams are written there, you have to submit mark sheets. This educator is reporting to you. He is not submitting these things. You are the shop steward. You are quiet about it. Discipline is the management function. You are the manager in this school. What are you saying about that? Quiet. It's a good thing. You are frustrated, dying alone. You know, I don't want to be unpopular. I won't be elected again to be a site steward in this school. Or a PEC member. And wrong things are happening. Comrades, the issues of discipline, where to start? It involves the principal as an employer, the employee, and the representative. Wherein the principal must receive a complaint, must investigate, must meet and give the outcome. When we talk about the fair procedure, we say if you are dealing with fair discipline, the person must be notified. Here you are, a representative of this educator who received a notice for a disciplinary meeting. Was this person notified of the offense? Was this person timely notified? Was he notified of the meeting? Was he given sufficient time to prepare? Was he notified of representation? Was the person allowed, given the rights of defense and the right to call the witnesses or the right towards the finding? In conclusion, the management of misconduct requires the manager to have a clear understanding of all requirements entailed in each case. Colleagues, as I sit down, there are problems we have identified wherein this educator is not in good terms with the principal. As this educator is not in good terms with the principal, he will be late at school. He will just send a WhatsApp message to the departmental head to say, I will be late. And the departmental head will say, no, it's fine. Don't worry. And the principal is not notified. That's wrong. You must notify the principal. Whether you are in good terms or not, notify the principal. So that when it hits the fan, you have a leg to stand on. The principal was notified that I will be absent. The principal was notified that I will come late. At times we shy away from doing that because of nursing our egos, knowing that they are also nursing theirs. Schools are run through egos and emotions. Some educators out there are bullied, and we don't have a way of dealing with this because principals are not understanding all requirements entailed in each case. We encourage the practice of progressive discipline in the district. We will not give you the statistics of cases as huge as they are if we are dealing with this and nipping it in the bud at school level. If you allow it at school not to be attended to, we'll find a problem wherein people will be dismissed left, right, and center. Attending to cases. We don't want to attend to cases. We'd rather talk to educators in this fashion, in a relaxed manner. Sinama para for that matter. How? There are prescribed procedures that must be used in a consistent manner to improve working conditions for both the employer and the employee. We are in a relationship. As much as Babu Job said, we are members of this union. Yes, we are, but we are given different roles and responsibilities. Hence, at schools, I normally say we've got what we call equality in equivalence. You are equals, but you are equivalent in terms of the offices you occupy. And it is also our plea to members of this glorious union. You might be vocal, knowledgeable about these things, and knowing all acts, all policies, and you find a principal whom you believe you know better. Please respect that office. Respect the office. Even if that person is, but respect the office. Have you ever heard of a situation where somebody says, I'm not afraid of you? Ngakupula. Sengisaba nje ukuthi wena nje uyiphoyisa. You're a police officer. But if I were given a chance, I'll show you who am I. Even in this instance, respect that office. Irrespective of the situation or circumstances. You might be having an ambition of being one at some day, and you always say, be respected. Have you noticed that most of the principals nowadays are younger? They're getting younger and younger. And as they get younger and younger, some of them find that they are speaking freely. They just talk. And those that are older, they would use their faces to bully you. But just respect that office. In conclusion, we thank you very much for this opportunity. We're going through a lot, and we believe a partnership with this union will assist the Department of Education to have a model of schools that we want. We don't want chaos. We don't want chaos in our country. If we allow what is happening in our townships, plaza shops that are blossoming, mushrooming everywhere, what would then happen to the education system if we don't allow the policies and the laws to be attended to in a manner that we want? You are revolutionaries. You are radical union that engages robustly and aggressively. That's the terms that are used by these leaders when they engage in these platforms. And therefore, we would like to see a situation where in the district office, we don't get most of these challenges coming from our own. Have you ever noticed a situation where last week I had to deal with a matter, and when I asked this guy, hey man, he just told me, hey, I went to church over the weekend. Where? Which church? And he mentioned my church. I said, no man, you know what? This guy, man, you can't do this, man. Why you belong to my church, man? It would be worse if you are a member of SADC. You do this and you meet me. And I ask you, which union do you belong to? Say SADC is a young Paul Kamash. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you. Comrades, I don't know. Right, we left with like 5 minutes before 1 o'clock. So we also need to have another presentation. Can we move to that presentation and maybe spare like 30 minutes or so? I don't know, I'm just making a plea. You can respond to this plea that I'm making.
What are the questions?
Comrades, can we go to the, you have questions? Can I get a direction? Do you need a question session or must we move to the next presentation? That could like last 30 minutes.
Next presentation.
Next presentation. My leader. Okay, come in. Please smile, guys. How? You are being very, very serious today. I don't know. You are so serious. Just one question.
Thank you. Sorry, leadership. Comrade, on the issue of the biometrics, I still have just one question to ask. Isn't it the prerogative of the Department of Education to provide the schools with the tools of trade? Meaning, if they want a biometric system to be in the schools, isn't it their prerogative into the schools, instead of the schools procuring for themselves that type of tool and render it legal? Now, I also need to know from you if us as the unions can also revoke or rather render the usage of those biometrics which have not been provided for by the department as invalid.
Colleagues, as I mentioned earlier, the issue of biometrics is a new phenomenon. It's not policy of the department as yet, right? There's only one mechanism that is used currently to record the ins and the outs of employees of the department, and that document is the attendance register, right? But as I said, that decision more often than not is a decision taken by the school governing body. And on the school governing body, there are teachers there. There's a chance that when the school adopts the biometric as an additional mechanism to regulate the issue of coming and going off employees, there's a chance that the teachers on the school governing body have also voted in favor of that too. So,